You're good.
Awesome sauce! Hello, everyone. This is Awesome Sauce Radio. I am your host, Lion of Wonders, the Comic Pimp. Uh, you know, I want to welcome everyone into our hearts, into our homes. I thank you all for inviting me. Remember, we don't need sight to have a vision. It's not what happens to us, what we do about it. Happy holidays. I hope everyone is having an amazing holiday season so far. Before we bring in the guest who will need no introduction, I'd like to thank JD. JD is the man in the chair tonight. And as always, I could not do the show without you, so thank you very much, JD. I also want to give a quick shout out to everyone who's visited me at the Big Apple Comic Con. Thank you all for stopping. Big Apple Comic Con, BigAppleCC.com. Tell them what I'm saying. Now I would like to introduce our guest. He is a legendary writer of some of the greatest comic book runs of all time. Sex Criminals, Hawkeye, Immortal Iron Fist with Ed Brubaker. Uncanny X-Men. He wrote one of my favorite issues of Spider-Man. He's currently the writer on the TV show Monarch, The Legacy of Monsters. The legendary Matt Fraction. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Adam. How are you? Hey.
Like I said, thank you for being a guest.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yep. So how did you get into comics?
As a fan, as a reader, or as a writer?
First as a fan, because I was reading your bio on Wikipedia, and I find what you were into as a kid somewhat fascinating.
Yeah, I always drew kind of compulsively, just drew all the time. I think that the thing that first got me into comics was being attracted.
Hey guys, did we freeze?
I'm good. I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. We're good.
Whew. So I think the thing that attracted me first was the art, and it just sort of the storytelling made sense to me, and I loved drawing, and there's this sort of. I think it was the art form itself that attracted me to it, and then the stories therein all like spoke to me, the way they speak to, I think, to all of us when we're of an age, when we need heroes and justice and adventure and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So, do you have any fond memories of working at one of the coolest comic book stores on the planet? Heroes aren't hard to find.
Oh man, I loved it. Was kind of, I guess, technically my first job in the industry, right? And Shelton Drum, the owner and founder of Heroes and of Heroes Con in Charlotte. A bunch of my fondest memories, I think, were working Heroes Con, and sort of being working the retail side of things. I mean, aside from giving me an understanding of the industry and the business in a way that I think everybody working in it should maybe have for a little bit. It was amazing to be a part of a show that really celebrates comics and always has celebrated comics, and kind of has never been anything less than a spectacular comic convention.
I helped to make it out. It's one of the few conventions I've known Sheldon for. It'll be almost 30 years now, because I met him at the first Big Apple Comic Con I ever went to, and we just took a liking to one another. And
yeah, I may have been working that show. What year was it?
Yeah, it was 97. That's why I brought the question up. It was 96.
That was I was working that show. That's fantastic. So you and I have already met. We're old friends.
Actually, we probably met at that show. You probably helped me complete a couple of my comics from a run at that point.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, no, that was I would have just turned 21, and it was my first time in New York City. and that was back when those shows were in the church basement.
Yep.
And yeah, that was always fun. And me and Dustin Harbin, who worked with me at Here's the Time and now is a fabulous cartoonist in his own right, forgot the 12 important boxes of silver and golden age high dollar books in North Carolina. We were so worried about packing the van right and getting everything that we forgot the money making items.
I love it when
But
you do
but
that for
but
the show.
Shilton is a true retail Superman and retail Santa Claus and pulled out a victory all the same. But that was my recollection was being so excited about driving to New York and going to New York for the first time that we forgot the most important part of the retail experience that Sheldon needed, which was the books, the expensive books.
Yeah, Sheldon's awesome.
And he didn't fire me. To his credit, he didn't fire me or Dustin on site. So all praise be unto Shelton.
That's awesome. How did the series Sex Criminals come about?
I knew Chip Zdarsky's work and adored it and thought he was great and one of the funniest people I'd ever met. And we had been toying around with things to do with one another. And we had done a couple of kind of, we actually did a music video as part of our friend Tom Sharpling's The Best Show program, which at the time was broadcast on WFMU out of Jersey, and now is a internet and web thing that Tom does. But we'd been trying to figure out a comic to do, and had kind of been bouncing ideas back and forth at one another. And one morning, I just kind of pitched him the broad strokes of the idea, pardon the pun. And in fact, we actually put the email on the cover of one of the reprints, I think, for the second issue. It's literally the email that was me pitching the idea to Chip, and Chip saying, like, that sounds great, chum, let's go. And that was it. So it kind of started like as a dare or a joke. I don't know. I normally remember exactly when and where some kind of idea came to me. I do not specifically, beyond that email, have any idea where that came from. But there it was, and then we
I
started
saw
to
this
work on it.
listed in Diamond, and I was just like, this. And as soon as I saw it, as I say, this guy gets an orgasm, and it freezes time. I'm like, wait a minute, is this a comic or is this an erotica book? That's the guy Chip Zdarsky's doing the art. Yep, it's a comic.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard, and I was hooked ever since.
Yeah, it's definitely the for the unsexiest book about sex. Like it's for a book that has such sexual content. There's it's not, I don't, erotic, I don't think it's but it's about sex and love and relationships and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's like a coming of age.
Yeah.
Were you what type of sex comedies from the 80s inspired you towards this genre? Because it has that vibe to it.
Gosh, yeah. A lot of the kind of, there was kind of a wave of movies in the 80s that were about people trying to lose their virginity, whether it was the point of the film or the subplot of one of the characters in the film. It was kind of a trope of comedies about young people. And as I think all of us kind of end up discovering on our own, is life is in fact nothing like that. But the idea of it being this thing that was so all encompassing, to some people, or unencompassing in the cases of others, in a world where, am I supposed to care about this? And I don't. It sort of struck us that whatever the experience is for you, whatever and wherever you find yourself on the kind of complex manifold of gender and sex and sexuality, like it's a thing you have to discover for yourself. So it's this universal experience that everybody has, but that everybody has to go through alone.
All right, that makes
And
sense.
yeah, and so and to kind of make it, we sort of knew right away that the first, like the first draft of the first issue was from the male character's perspective, and it didn't work. It didn't work for me, and it didn't work for Chip. I sort of, sent it to him, and I was like, this isn't it. Like, this isn't, like, comics are hard work, man. The amount of effort and time it takes to produce them, like, you got to love it, and we didn't. But I had the idea that I wanted to try to take a pass at it through Susie's perspective, that should make her kind of the lead of our two leads, and that just opened the whole thing up to us. I mean, I sent the Susie version of the script to Chip with an email saying, like, basically, I'm in love with her and I want to protect her forever, and I hope you feel the same way, because and he did, and then we knew what the book was. We were kind of able to find it from there. And Chip is just I mean, he's an astonishingly funny person, but he's so good. He's such a great cartoonist.
Yes.
That I knew that he would, the jokes would be the hard part. Making people fall in love with these characters would be the easy part. Just by nature of how Chip draws in cartoons, and how I knew we felt about the characters. I knew we were never going to be making fun of them. We were never going to be laughing at them. We were never going to be mocking them. We would be laughing at and ridiculing the absurdity of trying to of that first awkward sexual experiences that I think everybody shares, but never at the people, and that just kind of opened the whole thing up.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful 69 issue series.
Yeah, we
And
might have skipped a few issues in there towards the end, but you'll get the gist.
yeah. Any progress on the TV show?
I live in hope. Nothing I can talk about, but they're very smart, very talented people, working as we speak, hoping to make it realize it as a TV show. So
awesome.
I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic, and I think it's in great hands.
That's awesome. If a group of disabled filmmakers want to take a crack at making a fan film, would that be okay?
With me, yes, but has been optioned by someone, and I don't know how they would feel about it, but I could certainly have a conversation and make sure that
Like
all
I said, I
all
don't
the
know
all the
where
lawyers.
I don't know. I'm trying to wait for my lawyer to get back to me on how fan films are protected under fair usage, and
Yeah.
it's the holidays, and she told me to leave her alone to after Christmas.
Well, I think that's fair, but
Yeah, like I said,
yeah,
it's something that
yeah. As far as I'm concerned, awesome, but at
yeah,
at
I
this
just
point,
don't
there are
want the people who
other
own
parties
the
involved.
yeah. I
Sorry.
don't want all the I get a letter being like, yeah, you're being sued. We know everything you own. We know known. Thank you.
Nah.
Bye.
Yeah. Well, I mean, worst case, you get a letter saying stop.
Yeah,
But yeah. So I'm unfortunately can no longer
that's
just say,
awesome.
"Oh yeah, go nuts."
Yeah,
But
no,
if
that's
something
not.
happens, I would, and one of those letters gets sent,
Yeah,
I
like
would
I said.
certainly help out.
Yeah, like I said, it's just like I said. What is a milk effed criminal mastermind?
Milk fed. So it's the name of my wife, Kilisu, and our company. And it started. There was there's a line of like onesies for newborns that are sold in sealed bags, and the bag has this like Mysterioso predicts, and the thing is Mysterioso is this fortune teller, and on this onesie, the job this child will one day have has been written, but you can't tell what the job is when you buy it. It's like a sealed,
Okay.
solid bag or whatever. And when my son was born, we got one, and it said that his future job was criminal mastermind. Um, and around that same time, the Wu Tang name generator was going around, and
Okay, it was around that time period.
yeah, so it was in my head, and we thought like, oh, well, Milk Fed Criminal Mastermind would be his Wu Tang name, and then we had to name a company, and we thought, oh, well, Milk Fed Criminal Masterminds. If anything else, because it's hilarious trying to cash checks made out to anything criminal mastermind. I recommend it highly. It makes the
I'd
bank
like to see the
makes killing
conversation.
it.
I'd like to see be the fly on the wall of that conversation at the bank.
Yeah. We wonderful attorneys and money managers who always hate it when we have to make up a new company, because I have really great company names that
Yeah,
are always a struggle for them to clear.
yeah. Like that one, I had to double check with my because I use a computer for the blind that reads things to me.
Mm-hmm.
It reads as it's something else.
Oh,
Like it pronounced it. Wait, they named their company MILF Criminal Masterminds.
no,
And I
milk
had to
fed,
double
milk
check.
fed.
I said,
There we
wait, and then I had to like,
go.
there's a function where it'll let you like read each character of the word for word. So I said it's FD. All right. I was like, wait a minute. I said it's a milk. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
Because I was like, I'll for it real quick. And it's and sex criminals, and he is married to Kelly Silicon. That real computer voice.
Yeah. Right.
So if you turn the speed up a little quicker, it's
Sounds all wrong. Yeah.
No,
yeah. I mean, it's meant to be weird, but not that weird.
Yeah, that's why I double checked. What was it like working with Ed Brubaker?
Oh, it was great. Ed and I talk all the time. We were on the phone with each other just the other day. It was great. He had sort of made that pivot from original comics to work for hire comics at Marvel a few years before I had. And as I came on board, we were kind of put together. The idea was like, here, teach this guy how to not be an indie guy or not be a create our own guy, but to write for Marvel. So we were just sort of teamed as a kind of quasi almost mentorship. But it was great. Mostly it was just a chance to hang out with one of my favorite writers and work on stuff together. It was terrific. We'd get on the Xbox and like play games with each other and break story with one another, and then kind of split up who was doing what and get to it. So it was a blast. It's great. He's one of my dearest friends.
That's awesome.
And you get to. There's a lot worse ways to spend your time than coming up with cool Iron Fist stories with Ed Brubaker.
Well, too. Even your X-Men run was one of my favorites too.
Oh, thank you.
So why did you guys decide during that time period that it was the cool idea to take the X-Men away from Westchester and set them up in San Francisco?
I feel like that may have been Ed's idea. At this point, I honestly don't remember. I think part of it was relocating and kind of creating a new status quo and putting them on Utopia and kind of playing with that idea of them, becoming a sovereign nation. And San Francisco felt right. And like I said, Ed was from there, I wish I could remember, but I want to say that was Ed's. It feels like the kind of big swing that Ed was taking that I didn't, it was very early in my time at Marvel. I don't think I was feeling confident enough to kind of take big swings like that at that point. But I think it was really about trying to send them to a place that that was kind of known for its tolerance,
inclusivity, and open-mindedness at that point.
Yeah. But to then, if the X-Men can feel like outsiders in San Francisco, then they're going to feel like outsiders everywhere.
Yeah.
And mostly it was a chance to just shake things up and do stories we hadn't really seen before.
That's awesome. What are some of your fondest memories of the Immortal Iron Fist? Which, before you answer, I just want to say this. The Immortal Iron Fist is one of my favorite comics right after Daredevil,
Oh,
and
nice.
it helped me when I was struggling learning how to read Braille and my sight got worse.
Hmm.
It helped me focus a little bit more and train.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's amazing. Well,
Yeah,
that's incredible to hear.
yeah.
Um, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, aside from it just being fun to sit, Ed remembered this old Iron Fist issue that where Danny and Lei Kung the Thunderer were in Kunlun, and there was an Iron Fist costume behind like a wall of glass, and the Thunderer said something to the effect of like that was someone else's, So there's this idea that there had been this legacy of Iron Fists before Danny Rand, and that was kind of Ed's way into the story. He wanted to tell story, about the Iron Fist before Danny. And so just the joy of being able to build that out, and like, all right, well, what if there is a Chinese pirate queen who is Iron Fist, and what if there's this, and what if there's that? That was fun. Basically, getting to write a kung fu comic every month was a blast. And honestly, working with David Aha, if David and I hadn't met and worked together on Iron Fist, there wouldn't have been a Hawkeye. And I felt like I learned how to write for David doing Iron Fist, and that was definitely a thing that upped my game quickly. I have no bad memories about working on that book at all. I got to work with, Russ Heath and Howard Chaykin and all these incredibly talented
I
people.
actually think it's one of the more underappreciated runs of the early 2000s.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You know, like you said, Iron Fist is my second favorite character after Daredevil, and Daredevil because of the obvious reasons. Because
You love lawyers.
uh, I the Daredevil made being blind cool. Like
There you go. Yeah.
I helped me accept the fact that life wasn't over for me once I knew I was gonna lose my sight eventually.
Right. Right. Right.
You know, and, here's this blind guy who's swinging from rooftop to rooftop in New York,
Right.
and blindness is his superpower, basically.
Yeah. 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 It's
Very,
always interesting
very,
when
very comforting.
it's always interesting to me when there have been stories. Remember there was like a Frank Miller story where he got his sight back and he was kind of useless. And like he was so much like he didn't know what to do with sight once it had been returned to him, and that was such a great, like, I remember as a kid that like, oh, it's not a disability.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's not like he's incomplete or whatever, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure somewhere that was in my head when I got to do Hawkeye and kind of bring back the hearing loss.
Yeah, and there's a lot of my friends in the hearing impaired community who I've turned on to comics. Is like, check out Hawkeye, man.
Oh, awesome.
Hawkeye and Echo.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's one
Yeah.
thing I love about comic books is, it's where you could turn what's supposed to be a disability into this awesome superpower.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of Hawkeye,
Sure.
what went into the creation of the coolest dog in comics?
My dog Captain Applejack died,
Uh,
and I had written it was a weird experience where I'd first kind of pitched the book, and what would become issues 4 and 5 were kind of my pitch. And I realized, well, that's just a story. It's not really a series. So then I kind of withdrew from the pitch process, but then figured it out, re-entered, wrote a new number 1, which would become our second issue. And my editor and I read it, and we were like, you know what? This is a good issue number 2. Because it was the issue where Kate shows up, and it was a two-hander. It was really about Kate and Clint, that issue. So I had to kind of figure out what's the first issue now, and was struggling around, and then my dog died very suddenly, and I wrote it in a night. Something about the idea of I had all the parts, but kind of didn't know what the through line was going to be, and then I couldn't save my dog, but I decided that Clint could save his, and so it really became about, I'm gonna tell a story about a guy who's going to save a dog. And
Yeah.
there's this old joke about like oh, there's a lost dog poster. He's got three legs and one eye, and he's been neutered, and he's got been hit by a car, and he's got mange and one ear, and no teeth. The answer's to the name of Lucky. And that just sort of felt like a perfect metaphor for Clint Barton. But that was where Lucky the Pizza Dog came from. I love dogs and wanted to save mine and couldn't, so I
Yeah,
decided Clint would
I'm
save his.
struggling with the loss of the dog right now. So
Oh, I'm sorry, pal.
I just lost my dog. My dog died of kidney failure about 2 weeks ago. So,
Oh, I'm so it just
and
tears
the joke with me and the dog was when the Hawkeye show was on the air is we're gonna be we get pizza once a week and crust, and the dog is just
Oh, what a lucky dog. That's
yeah.
great.
Like I said, one of the best Jack Russells I ever had. So
I'm sorry, man.
just but so it will get better over time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's they just take up so much of your heart. They're just dogs are such a just wonderful, incredible, like soul lifting animals. you know,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
that once I figured out that, oh, Clint's gonna have a dog, um, everything came together.
that's awesome. Why do you think your run on Hawkeye is like really lasted the test of time and is the basis of like one of the better TV shows I've watched in the last couple of years?
Oh, thanks, boy. If I knew, I would do it every time.
Yeah,
I think we were just dumb luck, chance, the right people, the right take, the right character, the right market conditions. No one had any expectations of it, so we were kind of left to do what we wanted to do, how we wanted to do it. It's like a million little things that I don't know that we would have experienced that kind of success and connection if anything had been different, but it feels like just a million little things all happening at the same time led to it. But if I knew if I could put it in a bottle and sell it, I would. And Lord
awesome
knows
sauce.
I'd drink it every day. So
Yeah,
yes, awesome sauce. I would need pure undistilled awesome sauce.
nice.
180 proof.
Excellent. Uh, is it true that you were supposed to have a cameo in the TV show?
Yeah, I was gonna go down to Atlanta, but it was sort of in the first bad wave of COVID, and we had a new puppy. So between and like my mother lives with us, and she's immunocompromised, so we were keeping our lockdown extra locked down, and between the risk of travel and having this 6-month-old puppy in our house at the time, I just couldn't get away from it. But I think I was supposed to be a tracksuit. It's supposed to be for like 3 nights. So that made me think I was going to be. I really wanted to take an arrow to the knee or something.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I actually during that time period, I was asked by a colleague to stop saying "bro."
Yeah, good, nice try. It's hard once you start.
Yeah, because I was taking an O&M brush up a while back, and like, you gotta stop saying "bro."
Hey, bro. But those guys were great, by the way. I got to meet the kind of the two main tracksuit guys. The one's like, "Oh, you want up like a barbecue, bro?" Like that. Like those guys, those actors are terrific dudes and just the friendliest, nicest. It was great. And then we just got to goof around doing bro talk with each other all night. That was a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Uh, and Hallie was amazing as Kate Bishop.
100%, 100%, just perfect casting.
Yeah, and of course, I brought back Vincent as the Kingpin, and I knew that was happening way before it was happening because I have friends in the blind community that consult for Charlie Cox as his blind consultant for Daredevil.
Oh, nice.
So
Nice, nice.
they're like, we need you. Some of my old mobility teachers like, yeah, I need you to sign this, and if you blab, I will have you sued.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's how they do it. They keep a tight ship.
Yeah. Do you have any advice on handling writer's block?
You know, having kids and a mortgage sure helped me. I think a big part of my process is letting myself suck a little bit and promising that I'll get better next time.
Oh, wow.
I think there's the old saw that perfect is the enemy of good. I think good is sometimes the enemy of finished.
Oh,
And that
wow.
if I can finish something, I can rewrite it and make it better. But I can't rewrite a thing until it's done in some form. So like giving myself that gift of like my writer's block is all about preciousness. Whenever I'm stuck, it's because I don't have a story or I'm not confident about it or I'm not sure where it's going to go. And that block is my brain stalling so I can try and figure it out. And when you have something like a mortgage or a hungry baby that needs food, it's like, well, daddy can't be precious and get it perfect this time. I got to get it done and I got to then polish it and make it better and I'll do better next time. So I find like let yourself finish the terrible draft. No one ever has to see it. No one but you ever has to read it. No one has to ever know it exists, but you can't fix a thing. I can't fix anything until it's done. At least one version of it is done.
Thank you very much. I'm going to remember that.
Yeah, and it can be tough, right? Especially when you love comics and you like live in a world of them and all you can think of are all the great comics that you know and
Amazon's
love.
not.
Oh, bad, Alexa. Um, uh, all you do is it's impossible. I think for it's just natural for people you compare to things that you know and love, and it's okay to not be operating on those levels, right? I think the only level we need to concentrate on is our own and get it done. Just get the thing done,
Beautiful,
and then you
beautiful.
can fix it.
Now I want to ask a parenting question.
Hmm.
What do you think is the appropriate age to let your kids watch South Park?
I think it depends on the kid.
All right.
Um, my son has seen some of it, and my daughter has seen some of it. They were both around 12 or 13 or so, but I think ultimately, they were okay. They liked a little, it was all right. But I think they were. I think there's other things that they were far more interested in. Um, so maybe also like not making it forbidden, you
Yeah.
know.
All right. All right. Thank you.
But it was like a conversation. It was like, well,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Basically, I was babysitting my best friend's daughter.
mhm.
She was just like, Uncle Adam, my mom lets me watch South Park. Is it
Mm,
okay? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And I found out I was conned.
yeah, yeah,
I was like, okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So me and one of my best friends who I've known ever since high school had to got into this huge debate. Uh, and then I was like, I'm not winning this one. And I've been
yeah,
asking all my everyone I know with kids that question.
yeah. No, I think it depends on the kid, and honestly, what kind of parent you are. Like some people, it doesn't matter. Some people are just never going to be comfortable with it. Others are, I think it really depends on the kid, and it's tricky because I find that um there's kind of different eras. It's a little bit like Simpsons, and it's been
Yeah,
on for so long that there's definitely eras and periods. And I think there's some that I like more than others, and some that I find funnier more than others. But I think it's fascinating to how they become better storytellers as time goes on. And
definitely.
and 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 there's a skill and a craft to how they do what they do. That I think is visibly improves kind of across the arc. Then it's sort of a matter of like, well, do you actually find it funny? You know what I mean? Like I can appreciate the craft of a thing, but like not laugh at it. But every now and again, when it all lines up, man, it kills me like nothing else.
Yeah, the
My kids are
Simpsons.
super into Rick and Morty, which was a whole other kind of discussion. But I would expect it was a very similar kind of.
Yeah, Rick and Morty. This. I've been watching this season, and it's been
Weirdly
very
intense.
it's been very hit and miss with me this season.
Ah, a couple behind. Um, I suppose I feel like it can always be hit or miss, but I admired the mid-season twist where
I thought that was
they've
great. I guess
I thought it was a very, just as a writer, I appreciated the courage. It would be like if Lost, if they got off the island at the end of episode of season 3, you
yeah,
know, um, it was such a great, oh wow, I don't know where they go with this. This is really interesting now.
that's awesome. So you're right.
And
You're right.
I'm sorry, but Juricki laughed so hard 2 drops of pee came out.
That was amazing.
Sorry, we are
I
Juricki.
also do love the fact that they killed the version of themselves that were cameoed in Space Jam as
Yes,
well.
yes.
I applauded for that.
Yeah. They begged. It's great.
They begged us to kill them.
Yeah,
I
it
saw
was.
that. I actually sent that to a buddy of mine.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
What is your experience on Monarch Legacy of Monsters been?
Oh man, well, it's been a journey. It's been just over 5 years. The first document I sent to Legendary, I had a deal at Legendary, and they were trying to develop some of uh, my books into
Your
shows,
books,
and
always
they
Kelly's books. Never
and
seen
Kel as well. Yeah,
comics.
we both had a deal, but I knew that Godzilla was in their toy box, and I was like, I think there's a show there, and they thought, they let me take a swing at it. And that was in 2018, and then in 2020, is partnered with this excellent writer, a showrunner named Chris Black, and he and I, we had sold it to Apple, and then Chris came in, and we sort of turned it into a TV show, and it's been really incredible. I've got to work with an amazing array of people, both in front and behind the camera, and get to kind of see how the mechanism at work. Showed up in Vancouver during prep, and we had a payroll of just under like 500 people. It's amazing the number of people it takes to make a show like that happen on that scale. And yeah, it's been like running a marathon for 5 years, and it's like, I know it's out. It still doesn't feel real to me on some level. Like, it's done, it's out, it's brought, like the 6th episode is out as we speak, and I'm still like,
Yeah,
boy,
I'm going to binge it over the weekend because a good friend of mine, and you know him as well, John over at Word Balloon,
oh yeah,
mentioned he mentioned it to me, and I was like, I gotta check it out.
yeah. And Godzilla minus one is really fantastic. If you
It was
check
my
that out.
favorite, one of my top 5 favorite movies of the year.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Certainly one of my top 5 favorite Godzilla films of all time too. Just excellent. Hopefully it's a good time for Godzilla fans.
But I'm hoping so too, and I think Monarch is going to be the start of that because I so far I've only watched the trailer, and I watched the trailer like 5 times while I was preparing for the interview today.
Right on. Well, I hope you dig. I mean, it's definitely, and one of the things that Chris and I set out to do was, I mean, the MonsterVerse films that Legendary produces are so epic and so huge, that even if we had all of the money and time in the world, I don't know that. I think the worst version we could have done would have been to make a TV sized version of those films. So we really set out to try and make a TV show set in the MonsterVerse, a show, and I think movies are a thing you leave your home for. You go out to a theater. There's a big, there's a bunch of people, there's a crowd. You see it as part of a community. Like, television's a thing you invite into your house. It's a thing you bring into your home, and I think the key to that is having people that you care about. So it's a people for it's a people first show about what it means to live in this world of monsters, and there's certainly big monsters in it, but it's really driven by people. Look, no one goes to see Godzilla or Kong movies because you want to see the humans, you know.
You see, I just know eventually we're going to see Godzilla and it's going to roll. And I want to say, I want to meet the humans along the way who that's going to make you want to come back until you get to see that Godzilla.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he makes multiple appearances throughout the season.
That is awesome. I know that Spider Man is one of your favorite characters.
Mhm.
And do you have any memories of your time writing Spidey?
Only that it was like, God, the second or third or fourth thing I'd ever written for Marvel. It was really early.
So is that
Um,
before or after you wrote that run on the Punisher?
it was in parallel. I don't think the Punisher had come out yet. But it was all around that same time. I don't think Punisher had come out. But it was kind of maybe Punisher happened and then Iron Fist happened and then Spider-Man happened, but it was all kind of written out of order for any number of reasons. But and I there's an editor named Warren Simons at the time at Marvel, and he had kind of taken me into his confidence and said, it sort of told me that you kind of hinted at what was going to happen in One More Day, and basically presented this opportunity, like is there anything that you would want to say about the Spider marriage, knowing that it's going away, and it would be like an annual, and I was like, yeah, no, totally. I love being married. Yeah, let me write a love story about Peter Parker and Mary Jane. And just kind of had it happened in the middle of Civil War and all that stuff. So, but mostly it was because I'm not tremendously confident, and had the feeling that, like, and it's the feeling I have my entire career about everything. But like, what if this never happens again? So the opportunity for me was like, oh, what if this never happens again? What if this is the only time I'm allowed or able to write Spider-Man? Like, I took it as an opportunity to dive through all the kind of Peter and Mary Jane falling in love stories that I dug when I was a kid. And I know it's like heresy to Steve Ditko, but like I loved the college era. I loved the hanging out at the Coffee Bean and all that stuff. I
That,
loved that.
that's that is one of my favorite eras of Spidey of all time.
Yeah, and there's the one where
Especially the dynamic between Peter, Harry, MJ, and Gwen.
Gwen, it's fantastic. I just love it. And there's that issue where they pick the girls up and they go out to a party and the girls are
Yep.
both wearing these spectacular, and they're dancing, and like just that feeling of like falling in love for the first time, and how that can happen. And so I get to just kind of write this celebration of their love story, and it came from loving their love story, um had talked with Joe Quesada about it, and like it wasn't like I was it was welcomed, it was wanted, it was commissioned. They wanted that. That was kind of the thing they were looking for, was like someone to write this kind of goodbye story in a way. And then it became what it became, and sort of them standing on the top of the Chrysler Building has become this kind of thing that gets repeated. Is kind of now in the grammar of that. It was just amazing. It was the response to it was incredible. And
Yeah, because that Chrysler building scene is one of my favorite scenes of Spidey's from that era, outside of Spider-Man kicking the ever-loving crap out of Wilson Fisk in the jail cell right after Civil War.
right.
And mostly that's because JMS is quoting one of my favorite episodes of The Twilight Zone as Spidey's kicking the crap out of the Kingpin.
Mm-hmm. What was the Twilight Zone episode?
Game of Pool.
Oh, that's one of the new ones, right?
It's one of the classics, actually.
Really? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was the pool player was played by Jack
Uh,
Lemmon.
and he's playing against the devil. He's playing against old, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's playing
yeah,
against
okay,
the deceased guy who's the best in the world, and he's like,
right,
"This, you're a balloon. This is the needle."
right.
And
Yeah,
Spider-Man's quoting that as he's beating the crap out of the Kingpin with the front of the jam, his webbing down his throat.
yeah. I'm bothered that I didn't recognize it at the
That's
title.
cool. I mean, I've got my new addiction right now is these motion comics on YouTube.
Huh?
As it's being able to read comics again, like when I could see.
Huh?
So I'm discovering all this old stuff that came out right as my site was starting to get worse.
Right.
And I'm rediscovering the love for it. Like it's like falling in love with comics for the first time again.
That's great. That's fantastic.
You know, like
It's the first thing about motion comics I've heard that makes me not dislike motion comics. That's incredible.
Actually,
I
someone
love.
did a motion comic of your Hawkeye run.
Oh wow, wow, that's amazing.
You
I
know,
should check that out.
I'll actually send you the link to it.
Great, yeah, please. That'd be that's incredible.
Yeah, because like I said, you know, like I said, it's like being able to
That's great. Yeah, no,
comics to me again for something that sometimes working with a human reader is a scheduling nightmare sometimes. So.
Oh, of course,
And
yeah.
some of them, depending on voice and experience,
Right.
and you ever get someone who's really great, or you get someone that's maybe reading comics is not your strong suit. Maybe we'll just stick to bills and mail.
Right.
But where can my audience find you online?
I kind of know where I don't really exist online. My wife and I have a newsletter that comes out.
Yeah, I guess you got a Substack at least.
Yeah. It's just a MilkFed. I think it's MilkFed at Substack or whatever, MilkFed.substack, whatever it is. But look for me or Kelly Sue or MilkFed on Substack, and you'll find it.
All right, cool. Are you going to be at any conventions in 2024?
Not that I know of at the moment. But hopefully, I've yet to do one. It's been 2019 since I last did a convention properly, so I miss it, and would love to be back somewhere sometime. But we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you for all the memories.
Adam, thank you. I'm so, dude. I'm so psyched.
For really teaching a blind person how to see the world in different ways. Thank you.
It is my pleasure, and I'm so psyched that.
Also, please let Kelly know I say thank you for Bitch Planet because I just started reading it.
Oh, fabulous! Oh, absolutely, we'll do.
I'm a fan of her Captain Marvel, and I was like, I've heard about this book, Bitch Planet. So let me check it out, and I was like, wow, this feels like an old prison exploitation film from the 70s.
Yeah. Somewhere between women in prison and RoboCop, right?
Definitely. But Merry Happy Holidays to you and your family, and once again,
Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, Adam. Thank you again for your patience. Thank you for asking me to be on the show. It was my pleasure, and have a great New Year.
Same to you, man. Okay, everyone, that was the legendary Matt Fraction. Once again, check him out, check his work out. This was a dream come true. And like I say each and every week, go chase your dreams. You just might catch them. We don't need sight to have a vision. And if you have something in this life you really want to turn from fantasy into reality, this is America where the streets are paved with gold, and with everything in our power to do it. I do want to thank my good friend over at Word Balloon, John Santras, for being my mentor, and during our chat, him re-putting it in my ear, but reaching out to Matt would be a cool idea. So thank you. Always have a good team of people around you. To my brother from another mother, the man who makes wheelchairs great again. Definitely, he's got some cool things coming in the pipeline. JV Wheels, thank you. I love you, man. I could not do this show without you. To everyone, let's just keep our homie Calamity_collectibles in our thoughts and prayers. Stanley's going for some stuff right now, and he can use all the positive vibes and thoughts you can give him. Love you, Mark. You'll be back next week. Maybe even having on tomorrow night. Of course, Al Mega, Almega. He's just an awesome guy. Check out the real Almega on social media and Comic Crusaders on just www.comiccrusaders.com. To everyone, I wish you all a happy holiday season. May Santa be good to you all. I love you all. Blind Adam out.